What's up everyone, welcome to the video. We are here breaking down the Southpoint 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for Sunday, October 16th, I believe around 2:30 p.m. Eastern. But this is our second trip to the desert this season in Nevada, and this is also going to be another intermediate track, which if you guys have been following NASCAR this year, they have been pretty crazy. I mean, back in the day, intermediates were just very boring, and we'd see Martin Truex Jr. or Kyle Larson just lead the entire race for the most part. That is not the case anymore. I mean, if you guys remember Texas just a couple of weeks ago, it seems like half the field wrecked out, and it was just absolute insanity, and the tires have obviously not been very good this year as well. But we'll see what happens here at Las Vegas. This is a track I do enjoy, but hopefully Goodyear and NASCAR can figure it out this week. And if for some reason you are brand new here, which I highly doubt you are because this is the end of NASCAR season, but if you are for some reason, what's up? My name is Chris Pennell. I break down NASCAR and NFL DFS each and every single week on this channel. You can also find me over on Stochastic, doing some content over there as well if you ever want to check that out. And if you do enjoy today's free content, the only thing I ask in return, if you can just leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and hit that bell so you know whenever I post new content. And feel free to leave a comment down below saying whatever you want to say because I have no control over you. And also, big thank you to everyone who is subscribed because we did reach 10,000 subscribers last week, and that is absolutely awesome. I know it doesn't mean too much in the grand scheme of things, but to me, it was a pretty cool milestone to hit, so I do appreciate it. And don't forget about the sponsor of the show, Prize Picks, because they do make these videos possible. And as of right now, if you're new, signing over on the website, promo code CPEN can get you an instant deposit match bonus up to $100. There is no strings attached. It is free money. Please use it to your advantage. You can use the link down below in the description or head over to prizepicks.com and make sure you use promo code CPEN when you do sign up. But with that being said, I think that'll be it for the plug. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. And as previously mentioned, this is your Southpoint 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. There's your outline of the track. Nothing too special about it. Just a D-shaped oval, similar to tracks like Texas, Charlotte, Kansas. You could throw in Michigan, even though it's 2 miles in length, but pretty much just all the intermediates for the most part, mid-ish tire wear. Although, I mean, I have my concerns because Texas isn't known for having tire wear, and we saw a bunch of tires blow out there. I mean, we'll see what happens. Just Goodyear has definitely not been on their A game this season. So I understand if you want to go more so place differential than just racking up a ton of guys starting up front. I totally understand that. But we have 267 laps, just under 200 total dominator points. So while there is concern for that, I still think I want to roster at least one dominator, but a lot of my lineups will have two. You could stretch that to three, depending on their salary, but I think two is probably going to be the safest route to go. And I know I haven't shown the winners the past few weeks. It's mostly because the NFL has started, so not as many people are, in the contest as much as usual. But I had a guy named Josh, and his last name was Pennell. And if you just change the F to a P, that's my last name. So I figured I'd be nice enough to do this just for you. So hopefully you appreciate this. But congrats to Josh winning. He told me he had some fans watching. So if you're watching, you better give him a congrats because he absolutely killed it last week. And if you're wondering my overall thoughts on the pricing this weekend, I don't think it's too bad. I feel like for the most part, they price guys where they should. They have Bell in the top three now, which look, he's been a top three driver at these track types this year. So yeah. I get it. I think it makes some sense to me, but we'll talk through it here. I think a couple guys might be a little bit underpriced. We will talk about that. But let's start up top here with Denny Hamlin, the most expensive driver on both sides. He was the odds-on favorite to win this race before practice and qualifying. After practice and qualifying, he got bumped down to second after a poor qualifying effort. Blaney is now the odds-on favorite after he absolutely swept practice and was super fast on Saturday, morning over there in Vegas. But Hamlin, he didn't have a terrible practice session. 13th in the 1 lap, 15th in the 5 lap. Didn't seem like he had a top end car, but as good as Hamlin's been at these track types this year, and he was also first in average green flag speed at Las Vegas earlier in the season before we ran into some issues. He's also very good here at Vegas anyway. 3 top 5s the past 6 races, the most laps led per race, and also has a win under his belt. And if you're looking at his finishes at these track types this year, 10th at Texas, 2nd at Kansas, 3rd at Michigan, 1st at Charlotte, 4th at Kansas, 32nd in Vegas, but he was really good, probably had the best car. So yeah, I think if you're playing cash games, I have not ran projections yet, have not yet ran ownership, and if you do want access to that kind of stuff, it'll be a link down and below in the description over on the Patreon, which you do not get charged on the first anymore. It's just a 30-day cycle for when you do sign up, and when NASCAR does end eventually, you can switch that over to NFL, or if you just want to get the all sports, you can do that. But if you like the NASCAR content, do the same exact stuff for the NFL. And then I'm also doing it for the NBA, which starts in about a week. So if you want to come in and join, now is one of the best times to do so because we have lots of sports going on and I'll be very, very busy. But anyway, Hamlin, I'm assuming he's going to be one of the highest owned drivers on the slate. I've not yet ran my stuff, but he's going to project out very well for me. Should be a top 10 contender. And even with a poor qualifying effort, still has the second best odds to win this race in Vegas. Chase Elliott, $10,700. He is starting in 20th. And that's kind of what I was talking about in the strategy portion of this video because I understand you need some dominator points mixed in here, But at the same time, with the way these 1.5 mile tracks have ran this year, it might just make more sense to get some of these big name PD drivers, because yes, they're going to lose out on those 900 points at the beginning, but they can make up for it with the place differential points that they're going to get, and they can certainly be stage 2 contenders to dominate as well. So that is something to keep in mind. But Elliott, a pretty similar play to Denny Hamlin, just starting 11 spots further up, so he's not going to project as well for me. And if I had to pick between the two, I would definitely side with Hamlin. But this has also been a pretty good track for Chase Elliott. He's actually averaging the most fast laps per race here, and he does have race winning upside each and every single week. I know the 1.5s finish-wise have been a little bit hit or miss for him, but he's definitely had a fast car most weeks. Christopher Bell, $10,500. He's starting in 7th. I like the price on FanDuel. He's a little bit cheaper over there comparatively. And he's coming off a win at the road course last week. And just finish-wise, Bell has been killing it this year overall. Now, I know at Texas and Michigan, those weren't too pretty, but he was a really popular play for me at Texas, and he was one of the highest owned drivers, actually, and he finished 34th. He got an issue early on. But 3rd at Kansas, 26th in Michigan sucked, but 5th at Charlotte, 5th at Kansas, 10th at Vegas early in the season. If you're looking to get off the chalk of Hamlin and Chase Elliott, I think Bell's an excellent tournament play because he has race-winning upside. He can certainly dominate as well. Kyle Larson, $10,300. He's starting in 14th, and he's been very consistent at these tracks this year. 9th, 8th, 7th, 9th, 2nd, and 2nd at Vegas earlier in the season. And if you're looking at how he's performed specifically at Vegas the past few races, the best driver rating, has a win under his belt, absolutely dominated here last season. He just obviously has not been as good as he was last year in 2021 that he is in 2022. But starting in 14th, he's probably going to be just a pivot playoff of Hamlin and Chase Elliott. He'll probably have a little bit more ownership than Christopher Bell because he's starting double the spots further back. But I don't think I'm going to go to my way to play a ton of Larson. It's just going to be really what the optimizer gives me. But I certainly view him as being a top 10, top 8 contender. My only concern is being able to get up front and dominate at his price point when you have guys like Elliott and Hamlin starting much further back. Then you have Tyler Reddick at $10,100. He's starting in 1st. And I feel like the last time I played him on the pool at a 1.5, it ended horribly. He had a very fast car, but as what always happens with Tyler Reddick whenever I'm on him a lot, ends up getting an issue. I think he had a flat, ends up in the wall, and just ended up having a terrible day overall. So that's my only concern there. I don't think you have to play him in cash games, especially at 10-1 when you have guys like Elliott and Hamlin there. But he'll certainly be on my radar because if he can lead up all stage 1 and he just doesn't have any issues during the race and he's a top 5 kind of guy, yeah, Reddick will certainly be playable. I just wish he was a little bit cheaper at 10-1. But I don't think I'm going to get there in cash games personally. I feel like he might just be a better tournament play because it's just hard to trust drivers at these track types this year, especially on the pole. Then moving down to Ross Chastain here at $9,900. He's starting in 11th. And I think this might be time to hop back on Ross here. He was super fast in practice, which he usually isn't. So it's always nice to see when he's got a fast car on Saturday. 2nd in the 1 lap, 2nd in the 5, and 2nd in the 10. He's also 2nd in average green flag speed here earlier in the season where he finished in 3rd place. So starting at 11th, I think he's a fine hybrid play here. He's kind of got some place differential mixed in, but I also view him as a dominator, and he's not going to have nearly the ownership of some of these guys with massive place differential, so I think Chastain's in a pretty good, maybe not a bounce back spot, but I think he's in a great tournament spot here. William Byron, $9,700. He's starting in 3rd, which does make him a pretty tough play. Obviously for large field tournaments only, I don't think I can get there in a 3 max. And it looks like Blaney's going to have the faster car starting in the same row as him. So I'll probably be a little bit low on William Byron. He finished 5th here earlier in the season, 6th at Kansas, 7th at Texas, 12th at Michigan. That's fine. If he dominates and finishes in the top 5, or even in the top 10, depending on how many laps he can lead, that's all right. But more so of a large field tournament play, definitely on a cash play. Ryan Blaney, $9,500. He's starting in 4th. We know he's fast this year. It's just a matter of being able to finish races. But he finished 4th at Texas, 9th at Kansas, 5th at Michigan, 36th at Vegas early in the season, and 29th at Charlotte. But issues that arise at those tracks. But Las Vegas has been a very good track for Ryan Blaney. 3 top 5s the past 6 races here. One of the best drive ratings and some overall pretty strong numbers. But I would say the big story this weekend is that he did sweep practice, which did put him with the best odds to win this race over in Vegas at the DK Sportsbook. So if you're playing in tournaments, I'd probably recommend trying to get to some Ryan Blaney because it looks like he's got a pretty fast car this week. The only question really would be is he a cash game play? He might be. He's probably my favorite up front in the top 5 as of right now to lead laps. Obviously, Tyler Reddick on the pole. That's an obvious lap leader there. But outside of Tyler Reddick, I think Ryan Blaney's got a pretty good chance to get up front at some point because it looks like he's got a very fast car. Kyle Busch, $9,300. He's starting in 18th. It's one of the reasons why I'm not really sure if Blaney's going to be a cash game play for me because I can play Hamlin, I can play Elliott, then I can even play Kyle Busch, and he's only $9,300 and he's starting mid-pack here. I know finish-wise he has been absolutely awful recently. I mean, 36 at Texas, 26 at Kansas, 36 at Michigan. But before that, second at Charlotte, third at Kansas, fourth at Las Vegas. It's tough. I mean, is he going to DNF each and every single time? I would like to say no, but it has happened just about 3 times in a row. I know he didn't DNF at Kansas, but he finished 26, so it felt like it at least. But starting in 18th at that price point, I still like it. I mean, he still has decent odds in Vegas, very similar to Chase Elliott, similar to Kyle Larson, and he's this cheap. I think you're going to have to play some Kyle Busch this week. And he also finished well last week, too, when he was super cheap. So it's not like he's just completely not trying anymore. So, yeah, I'll be on Kyle Busch at this price point. And then you also have Martin Truex Jr. at $9,100 starting in 27th, which, yes, he finished 31st at Texas, but then 5th at Kansas, 6th at Michigan, 6th at Kansas early in the year, 8th at Las Vegas. It is really easy just to jam in all these place differential plays and just kind of throw in a cheaper guy up front if you want a chance to get some dominator points. Because even then, Joey Logano, he is starting in 5th, and he's $8,900, and he finished 2nd at Texas and 4th at Michigan recently. So it's like, do I really need to play guys like Ryan Blaney? Do I have to play Tyler Reddick? Because these guys can make up for it with their place differential upside. And with the way these races have ran this year, it almost makes more sense to go that route. So Busch, Truex, certainly on my radar. Truex is a very safe play. I think if you're playing cash games, I'd say there's a pretty good chance I'd want to get him in my lineups at that price point. But yeah, definitely liking some of these JGR cars this week. And I guess I should probably pull up the practice times if you guys are interested. Kyle Busch, 12th in the 1 lap, 19th in the 5. Truex was terrible in practice. So if there's some concerns there for you, I get it. But I still think he's an overall very safe play. Joey Logano, $8,900. Like I mentioned earlier, he's starting in 5th, 10th in the 1 lap in practice, 13th in the 5 lap. Honestly, hate playing the guy, but at this price point, I think you have to have some interest. He is pretty good at Las Vegas. This has been a good track for him. I played him here a lot in seasons past. He did finish 2nd at Texas, which was an insane race, but 4th at Michigan. Other than that, it hasn't been great at these track types, but just have a couple good finishes to make it look pretty. But overall, I do expect a pretty solid race from Logano, and the price is hard to beat. But Wallace, $8,700. I feel like no one's going to play Bubba starting in 9th at this price point. Like for $200 more, you can get a much more secure name like Logano. You can get a secure name like Truex. I don't really think a lot of people will go this route, especially when Harvick's $400 cheaper, starting a few spots further back. So if you're looking for the ultimate level 1 play, Wallace is there. He was 8th in the 5 lap, and he's shown upside at these track types this year. I mean, he dominated 1 at Kansas, and he's been fine. So I don't personally see myself getting there outside of 150 lineups, but if you want to be nuts in a single entry, he's going to have about 0 ownership, at least I would imagine. Kevin Harvick, $8,300, really cheap on FanDuel. He's going to be an easy play over there. He's starting in 13th. He was top 10 across the board in practice. Good at Las Vegas, although he's got good track history just about everywhere else. And besides Kansas, where he finished 36th, 19th at Texas, but 1st at Michigan, 3rd at Charlotte, 15th at Kansas, 12th at Vegas. Just very solid and consistent from Kevin Harvick. Now, he's no longer in the playoff for contentions to win the championship, so I don't know if there's going to be a loss of motivation there, but I would expect him to be a top 12 kind of guy for this race. Chase Briscoe, $8,100. He's starting in 16th. He's still somehow in the playoffs. Finished 5th at Texas, 13th at Kansas, 4th at Charlotte earlier in the season. But to be honest, I am not a huge fan here starting in 16th. I would probably rather get the Kevin Harvick. I think I would rather get the Bubba Wallace. So I don't really see myself playing too much Chase Briscoe. Dropping down to the 7K range, you have Daniel Suarez starting in 6th. It's going to be really hard for me to get there for where he's starting. I know he's kind of cheap, but maybe he's more so on FanDuel where he's $7,500. But I don't really see myself getting that much Suarez at all in DraftKings. Same can be said for Cindric. He always qualifies way better than where he's going to run. I expect him to fade out. I don't see him getting up front. I know he was pretty good in practice. He was 5th in the 1 lap, 5th in the 5, 5th in 10 as well, and then 2nd in the 15 and 20. So it seems like he's got a good car, but it's almost the same old story for Cindric every single time. So I don't really see myself playing Cindric either. Austin Dillon, $7,500. He's starting in 10th, super slow in practice. 31st in the 1 lap, 25th in the 5 lap. Probably going to be a pass for me. I don't have much interest in Dillon starting in 10th. Noah Gragson filling in for Bowman once again. He's starting in 17th. He does not currently have a price tag on FanDuel. And FanDuel isn't the best site out there for DFS these days, so I don't really see them updating that, especially with NFL going on. I'm sure it's none of their concern, so I don't think we can play him over there. But I believe Bowman is like $8,000 on FanDuel, so if they just want to switch out the price tag there, I guess that's really where I would expect it to be. But anyway, $73 on DraftKings. Was 12th in the 5 lap in practice, but to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be too excited about playing Noah Gragson here. I feel like I might like him a little bit more than Austin Dillon. He is in a Hendrick car. It certainly has upside, but he's more so of a 20 max, 150 max kind of driver for me. Don't think he'd make a single entry or 3 max build, and definitely not in cash games. Busch is starting a little bit too high for me. He wasn't that great in practice either. 15th in the 1, 24th in the 5, then 17th in the 10, which I believe was last of all drivers that did run a 10-lap run in practice. So probably no Busher for me, but Erik Jones is a guy that I will definitely roster at this price point. Way too cheap, $7,100. He's starting in 22nd. 3rd in the 1-lap in practice, 3rd in the 5-lap, and he's just had a lot of speed this year at similar track types. 6th at Texas, 8th at Michigan. I know some of these other tracks haven't had the best finishes, but he did have speed. Just sometimes finishes are out of your control, and they can be a bit noisy, but I like this price point a lot on Jones. I certainly think you can play him in cash games if you want, but I'm not sure exactly where that build is going to go quite yet. And then dropping down to the 7K range here, we have a pretty fair price point on Brad Keselowski, and he's going to start a run here of guys that are starting mid-pack-ish for the most part, and someone Erik Jones, but he's starting in 25th here. Much worse odds to win this race. Vegas definitely has more of an inclination on Erik Jones having more speed than Brad Keselowski, and he was very slow with his teammate Chris Buescher. Both RFK cars were pretty slow in Saturday's session. 27th the 1-lap for BK and 29th in the 5-lap. Obviously, these Las Vegas numbers are going to look good because he used to be on Team Penske and they tend to run very well here. And if you look at the overall finishes, they've been all right. They've been a little bit hit or miss though. 8th, 15th, 14th, and then also 25th, 30th, and 24th. So he's a fine PD play, but I'm not expecting fireworks out of him because he was pretty slow. Eric Almirola showed a lot more speed in practice. 6th in the 1-lap, 4th in the 5-lap, 3rd in the 10. He's starting 2 spots further up. I feel like he's probably the better play here. I was a little concerned that both RFK cars look very slow in practice. So for 2 more spots, yes, it's not quite the place differential upside, but it looks like he's got a much faster car. So I think I'll be willing to go with Almirola over Brad Keselowski. And he also finished 6th here earlier in the season. Ty Gibbs at $6,600. He's starting in 19th. Super slow in practice. 32nd in the 1-lap, 20th in the 5, 16th in the 10, but he is in a Toyota. I do expect him to have some speed for this race. And starting mid-pack here, he could be a pretty interesting tournament play. I don't think a lot of people are going to go with Ty Gibbs, especially if they're front-loading guys like Hamlin, Elliott, and then maybe throwing in like a Ross Chastain or Kyle Busch Truex. They might have to drop down to this 5K range instead of going with some of these upper 6K guys. So I think Ty Gibbs could be an interesting tournament play because I don't think he's going to be that slow during the race. AJ Almendinger, $6,400. He's starting in 21st. And I don't believe we have any sample size from him this year at these track types, which we do not. But he's starting mid-pack here, and he was very fast in practice. 4th in the 1-lap, 6th in the 5, and 4th in the 10. Starting in 21st, I think he's a fine play. I mean, him and Ty Gibbs should look pretty similar, but it's really hard to make much of a difference here between Almendinger, Gibbs, Almirola, and Brad Keselowski, as they all look very similar plays. But I will say Gibbs and Keselowski were slow in practice. Almirola and Almendinger were much faster. If that's what you want to make the difference maker, I'm all right with that. Then you have Michael Mcdowell here at $6,200, who's starting in 15th, and he didn't really blow you away in practice, but he's just been so good at getting great finishes this year. 11th at Texas, 16th at Kansas, 8th at Charlotte, but he's also got a couple of stinkers here with 20th at Michigan, 23rd at Kansas, and 27th at Las Vegas. I say this a lot for where he's starting, but I'm not going to have too much Michael Mcdowell. Only a guy I will get to in either a 20 max or 150 max type setting. Rookie Stenhouse Jr., he's $6,000. He's starting in 29, super slow in practice, but does not have bad numbers at all in Vegas. I mean, 3 out of the past 6 races here, he has finished inside the top 20. Even has a top 5 under his belt, where I believe he finished 2nd, I want to say last year. Finished 21st here earlier in the season, 8th at Kansas, 7th at Charlotte, and then 3 pretty poor finish races in a row. He's a fine PD play. I hate to keep saying it, but I mean, there's really nothing else that stands out besides Stenhouse other than the starting position that's nearly in 30th place. Dropping down to the 5K range, we have Cole Custer, $5,900. He's starting in 24th. And they all just feel like the same play. I hate to keep saying it over and over again, but none of these guys really stand out too much. I do like Justin Haley, though, who we're about to talk about, and I like Ty Dillon, but Cole Custer, I hate playing the guy. I hate trusting him, but he was top 20 in practice, so I wouldn't say he's necessarily a bad play, but I think I would rather go with Stenhouse, starting 5 spots further back. Justin Haley, $5,800. 10th in the 5-lap in practice and 18th in the 1-lap. I don't think Haley's a terrible play. He finished 3rd at Texas, 19th at Kansas, 17th at Michigan, 27th and 35th wasn't great, but he also finished 17th at Las Vegas early in the season. And if he can do a top 20 finish, that's not bad at all at his price point, so I think he's a fine play. Ty Dillon, if you're just looking for the cheap guy that doesn't typically wreck and just finish races, he's a perfect option at starting all the way in 33rd. I mean, 16th, 20th, 14th, 13th, 20th, and 20th. He passed 6 races at large ovals. It's not going to be pretty. He's probably not going to be fast, but he does avoid carnage more often than not. Harrison Burton's pretty much unplayable starting in 18th. Todd Gilliland is A similar play to Dillon, but I do prefer Dillon a little bit more. He's just been a lot better at grabbing good finishes this season. And then after that, I really can't recommend any of these guys. Corey Lejoy, maybe. He's kind of sneaking in there under 5K at $4,900 starting in 30th. And he finished 14th at Texas, 19th at Michigan, 15th at Vegas early in the season, and 19th at Kansas. So if we exclude Corey Lejoy from the bum group, and we just talk about Castle, McLeod, Ware, and JJ Yaley, I think all those guys are basically unplayable, but Corey Lejoy, I could see slipping in a few. With that being said, I think that's all I got for you guys this weekend. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are brand new. And I do appreciate everyone that's still here during football season. We are nearing the end. It's been a fun season. It's been a wild year as well, learning the new car and everything. Hopefully everything's a lot more smoother next season. But I do appreciate you guys all being here. Everyone that made it all the way through, you guys are the real troopers. But I wish you all the best of luck, and I'll see you all next time.